Hi everyone, this is Killshot from 99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 2, The Bridge, complete spoilers. Yes, you heard that correctly. And before I get to Super Chats, I just have to say I want to apologize because these spoilers were leaked way, way earlier than what we're accustomed to. Normally on our channel, we recap the episode, we go through some predictions, we talk about what we think is going to happen. But because they're released earlier, I didn't want to try to do predictions because a lot of the information's out there. So some people would have been ahead of the curve. Other people would have been, kind of waiting and, chiming in from time to time. We're probably not, we may not go scene by scene, but we are going to mix it up a little bit tonight. I'll talk about that in 1 second, how the format is going to be. So hold tight. But once again, we are going to talk spoilers. So warning, we will be talking about this week's episode. So hopefully you want to participate in that. But there's going to be some dialogue around it. Do want to give a shout out to Pete D. Is that Pete D or is that John Wayne in that thumbnail back there? I'm not thumbnail stalking you, but it does look like some John Wayne action. Pete D says, hello, Kills and 99 Army. I hope everyone is in a safe spot and away from the storm. Absolutely. If you're getting some bad weather, do not stick around and listen unless you're driving away. You should have me like on a car radio or something, but don't stick around your house and say, I'm going to wait out the storm with Kills. Get out. We've been through this drill before. We want you to be safe. You can always watch the playback. And also, Valar says, hello, 99 Army, Kill Steph, Emmy Kell, Sweet Tommy, sponsors, patrons, and of course, all the super chatters. And you've seen a couple of the super chats right there as we got started. So one of the reasons why we're going to do it this way is because we have had a lot of people want to chime in and super chat and give some opinions the last couple of days. So I'm not just going to go rapid fire and read it and say, this is what's going to happen, bam, 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 bam. We're going to talk about something that's going to happen, and then we'll analyze it a little bit and tie it in to what we talked about last week, because hopefully you guys will be very, I think you'll be proud of what we've done so far, because a lot of that prediction and dialogue from last week is going to come true in this week's episode. You're going to see what I'm talking about. And I'm also going to go on the record as someone who's read through the entire spoiler. I think this episode number 2, is going to be one of the best episodes of the season, and I think it's going to be one of the best Walking Dead episodes that you've ever seen. I know it's a bold, bold prediction because there's been a lot of them, right? 110, 115, something along those lines, maybe 116. This one is going to be good. There's no way in what I've read from the script that it is not going to be an epic, epic episode. Some major, major stuff goes down. It is all going to take place. It is. I know it's a high bar, Anna, and I would not go out on the limb and say that to you guys unless I absolutely felt it. It is going to be awesome. Trust me on this. All right, let me get into it because there's going to be multiple mysteries that are going to come down. So once again, I'm going to say this multiple times, so just stick with me because a lot of people will tune in late and they won't read the title that says spoilers. It's just, that's the way it goes. Be careful. Please don't cut and paste. If you know it, don't cut and paste too many spoilers. It is okay to talk about what we're talking about, but don't get like the whole episode ahead of us and say, hey, this is what's going to go down. That's not cool. All right. So let's start out with the episode. So I have not seen it, and I do want to give shout-outs to those out there. I don't know if this is Spoiling Dead's fan page or Walking Dead Family and Friends, if that's separate. This is stuff that's been linked to me. It's very, very reputable, though. So at the beginning of the episode, Rick is talking, and I guess you don't see who he's talking to, but it appears that he's probably talking to Negan, and he's just basically talking about what's happened after the war. And Negan's been locked up, so that makes sense. And he's also, he's going to use the word that we're making a new beginning. In the background speech, there's people working just to build up the new world. So that's kind of, before you get into the you get into the music, right? It was a very poor attempt at Walking Dead music. But, at least I tried. That's the best I can do for you guys. After we go through that, a little bit of a speech of Rick possibly talking to Negan, there's going to be a couple things where things happen and you're not going to know who's on the other end of it. So there's going to be a little bit of mystery. I'll talk about that in 1 second. But Ezekiel is talking to our man Henry. Now look, Henry got a bad rap. I know. Henry and Charlie there's going to be some similarities. Because they're both young and they're both not very well liked, but I think they're going to redeem themselves. So Henry's already starting. I know people, really, really were annoyed by him. But Ezekiel's talking to Henry. They're talking about the bridge. Now, you can see, based on the background that we have up there with Daryl, getting a little bit of a scrap, they've already made some progress on this thing. And so it's not going to be that we just don't see it. It's going to be kind of, I got to be careful using my words, because you do erect a bridge, but every time I say that, people giggle and they get, let's just use the word building. So they're going to build this bridge really fast. It's not, we're not just going to see nothing and then, it's gradually going to go up. We're going to see it like in stages, but it's going to be advanced a little bit. So I'm off my game here. Then we're also going to see Henry leaves to, he's got a job. His job is going to, Henry's the water boy. He's got to give water to people on this bridge because he's too young to build the thing himself. But then he gets called back and he has to go give Mama Carol a kiss. So it looks like Carol is warming up to both Ezekiel and also kids again. So Carol's had such a bad experience since Sophia, and now we can start to see her caring again. And I got to ask you, before we get into the next spoiler part, do you think this is dark? That, I don't like the word moral compass. I think it's overused. But do you think that a lot of times when people get comfortable, when they get happy, when they get content, that they lose something like really fast, like a Henry? Here's Carol healing again. And I got to think that Henry's going to die. I got to think that Carol's let her guard down. She's loving kids again, and something's going to go down. So let me know what your thoughts are. You think we're going to lose little Henry? Probably not till after the time skip. But I feel like Henry, when he becomes a little bit older, he might be the Henry might be a permanent sign for the Whispers. A keep out sign. Yeah, Carol's not had any luck with that. So here's a little tidbit for everybody. And once again, if you're tuning in late, spoilers. All right. I can only warn you so many times. Sadiq is training Enid and Cindy in medicine. This is important. And I'll tell you why it's important just in a couple minutes when we get further along in the spoilers. Enid and Cindy are learning medicine. Now, we know Sadiq has value because he is the doctor. But when you get too many doctors, we know what else happens, right? They die. Yep, some people are like, Sadiq's dead. Sadiq's dead. He's already training other people. Sherry's probably going to be, look at the Whispers, Henry. Whap. Poor Henry. Yep, doctors don't last very long. All right, so this is the part of this week's episode that I'm most proud of. Because I'm not going to say that we've argued over it the last couple days, but I will say we've had some pretty good debate over Maggie's direction and Maggie's leadership. So she is going to be questioned, and she's going to be questioned by multiple people, both on the outside of the hilltop and the inside of the hilltop. So now it is really starting to manifest. People are having a little bit of a problem with how she's going about things. Maybe not her end result, but how she's going about driving the behaviors within the hilltop. So she gets a visit from none other than Michonne. So Michonne goes to Hilltop. She's got to talk to her. And the reason is because they have these supply trips. So apparently there was supposed to be some supplies to get to the sanctuary, and it didn't quite make it there. So Michonne wants to know what went down with that. And she also wants to talk to her about her style of leadership. And she says, look, I don't like it. Michonne is point blank. She's not pulling any punches here. I don't like it. And Maggie, in so many words, says, I don't care whether you like it or not, as long as I take care of the hilltop. So I'm going to stop at this point for now in the spoilers. How do you feel about Michonne going and having a discussion with Maggie, and now we're starting to see the rift between Michonne and Maggie? And I'm okay if you guys take sides on this one. If you want to take Maggie's side, I'm okay with that. If you want to take Michonne's side, Ron Burgundy says that's why I love Michonne. So, Kirby, we're hearing that Jesus doesn't die until the second half, and Maggie leaves before then. So I'm not sure that that's the way it's going to go down. Julie says Michonne is a better, more even-headed leader. Casey's always on Michonne's side. I love that. Jason, you hit it. Michonne is doing the job that Rick can't. So well said. Rick is completely blinded by what's going on around him. You know what? Here's from episode number 1. Michonne said this to Rick several times. And she said, if Daryl is talking about it to you, it's important. It's important to him. And Rick totally glossed over it. Rick is so overwhelmed right now trying to fix every little small issue that he doesn't see that he's losing Daryl. He doesn't see that he can't stand up to Maggie. Rick is not doing a good job right now. Luckily, he has Michonne. Michonne was a lawyer. But, I don't know if it's her legal skills. I think it's just her approach and her just sitting back and seeing everything that's going down right now. And she doesn't have to be in the forefront of it. She just can listen to Rick and listen to Daryl and listen to Maggie and sort of make her own assumption. So Uncle Creepy says Rick's not seeing the big picture anymore. And Creepy, that is such a paradox because he claims to be seeing the big picture. But his vision is Carl's vision. And it also, I hate to say it, many of you have said it, Carl was a kid. Carl did not have enough wisdom to see the challenges of this world. Carl basically gave a vision of what he thought could happen, and Rick is just trying to get to that point so quick and honor Carl's wishes, and he doesn't realize that half the people here do not give a damn about Carl. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about a lot of people in the hilltop, a lot of people in the kingdom, and almost all the people that are saviors. They don't care what Carl's vision is, but Rick does, and Rick is blinded by Carl's vision right now. Now, it doesn't mean that something won't happen to change that, but I will tell you that through 1.5 episodes of what I've seen with Rick, and we'll talk about the end of this episode where it starts to change, but through the first episode and half of this second episode, Rick looks weak. And Michonne looks strong. And Michonne is strong. All right, let me get to a couple more spoilers. Let's go back to this is where it's going to get really good. Well, this is the first part of getting good, and it's up on the screen. So Henry goes to do his job. He's giving people water. And his big dude over on the left with the ponytail is Justin. Justin starts to harass him. Justin is bullying him. He's picking on him. He pushes him away and takes all the water. But Henry is not having it, and you saw this. Henry takes the stick and he knocks him down. So hopefully you saw that scene in the Comic-Con trailer. Justin picks on him. Henry is not taking it. And I think this is the part where Henry's going to start to redeem himself. Then another savior starts taunting Justin, basically like, hey, that kid just whipped you. And Justin, he's taking it personally. Daryl has words with Justin, who just got knocked down by the kid, and he tells him, look, just leave him alone. Kid's just doing his job. Daryl has some dialogue. Daryl's talking. Daryl's taking a stand. Daryl tells him the kid's just doing his job, and then Daryl and Justin start fighting. But that's not all the fighting that's going on. Aaron tries to step in. Aaron is playing peacemaker, but then Rick jumps in, stops them, and gets everybody back to work. So the famous Rick Grimes shows up, and this is where we'll start to see Rick transition. Rick's going to start getting a little bit more control. I think he sees it unraveling pretty quickly, and he can't just be the diplomat. Then Rick and Daryl have a little bit of sidebar, and that's where we see, we still on the same page, Rick? Well, you tell me. We saw that scene, right? They have their words. They want to know. And Daryl leaves, and they're not real happy about it. And Rick says to Carol that everything is complicated since Maggie killed Gregory. And Carol says she will talk to Daryl because Carol has that network. So Rick pinpoints the Gregory death as the turning point. What I like about that is in our chats, our spirited disagreements the last couple days, we really did highlight that as a problem on a couple levels. One, it wasn't necessarily the problem that Maggie killed Gregory. It was the problem how she went about it. And now Rick and Michonne and others see their democracy sort of unfolding before it even gets started. So, I'm going to ask the group here. This is not anywhere close to what goes down. So, based on just the first third of the spoilers I read to you, how you feeling about this week's episode? I'm feeling it's a 10 already. And I'm not even done yet. It's going to get better. Because there's a couple more great things that are going to go down that I think are going to keep you sort of, well, if you're listening to spoilers, they're not going to necessarily keep you on the edge of your seat, but even when you see it, it's going to be good. All right, we got a few non-believers out there. We got a few 7s. We got a few 8s. That's fine. We're not done. All right. This is where the storyline really comes back to Tammy Rose and Earl and what's going on. So we find out a little bit more about Jesus here. So Tammy wants to see Earl. I guess, cooler heads have prevailed. Everything has kind of went down. Jesus is like, no. You can't. This is what Maggie said, and I have to do this. I can't let you see him. But she's lost everything, and she's being isolated by everyone at Hilltop because of what her husband did. So she tells Jesus that she's not moving until she sees him. And Jesus tells Michonne that he does not like what Maggie's doing, but he has to respect her decision. So here we go. This is the beginning of what we talked about. We talked about whether Daryl agreed with what Maggie was doing, where Jesus, and now Jesus is actually taking a stand and confiding in Michonne like, I don't like it. So he knows this is an underlying problem. Tammy is Earl's wife. So, Lynn B., it's not a matter of how she would have done it. I think the semantics to the hanging and the situation is why she feels like she is the sole decision maker for someone else's life, and Rick's not involved, and Jesus is not involved, and Michonne's not involved. If they're working together to create a certain amount of laws, which Michonne said that they are, the fact that Maggie is just willing to go rogue and do it, it's not a question of how she killed him. It's the question that she did it without involving other people. And she didn't do it as self-defense. That's kind of that gray line right now. All right. We're going to get back to the whole Jesus, Maggie, Tammy Rose drama in just a minute. Because we got something else going to go down. Big news this week. Jadis, a.k.a. Ann, is having a little chit-chat with Father G. And she draws a picture of a woman. And we saw from the Comic-Con trailer, Father G's looking at it, really appreciates it. Father G talks to her, and she doesn't seem like she has a whole lot of friends there, that people are not confiding in her. And then she starts stroking his hand. So it looks like the beginning of a hand-holding session between Jadis and Father G. We'll get to that in 1 second. Yes, it's going to happen. Okay, it's going to happen. Yes, Jadis and Father G. It's going down. You know what? It's been a year and a half. Relationships happen. He's an OG, by the way. All right, so let's jump around a little bit and get to a different storyline. Why that you got to kind of let that marinate for a second. We're going back to the Jesus and Maggie situation. Jesus tells Maggie that some decisions are too big for one person. What do you guys think about that? Does that sound familiar? This is why we had to do the spoilers, because if we would have went into this and said we're doing our predictions for this week, some of these spoilers were so spot on to what we talked about. That's why we had to get the discussion out there. So Jesus is basically saying, hey, you know what? It'd have been cool if you just talked to me about it. That's all. Maybe I would have agreed. Maybe I would have disagreed. But just, run a few things by me, because you're talking about the end of someone's life. That's a big decision. And some decisions are too big for one person. And then Maggie's kind of listening a little bit, but she's dealing with Herschel. And after the conversation between Jesus and Maggie, Maggie lets Tammy go see her husband. And Tammy says, he's made mistakes, and she forgives him. Very interesting dynamic here. And this might be a little bit of the, some of you may not like this. Some of you probably going to say, hey, it's a little bit corny. I want a little bit more action. There's going to be action in this week's episode, but they can't just have a whole bunch of action with no story. And I think the story was created. Earl tried to take revenge on Maggie for 3 reasons. His son was dead, he was drunk, and his wife pushed him. Where she's like, basically, do something. And I think he walked away. I'm ad-libbing a little bit, but it was like, I'm not very much of a man. Like she made him feel worthless, and he had to do something. It's like that was bothering him. And I think it's very important that Tammy went back to him and said, I forgive you for what you did, for attacking those people. I know that wasn't the real you. You weren't yourself. You were upset. You were emotional. But there's going to be more to Earl than meets the eye. Remember, Earl's a valuable person. Earl's a blacksmith. So then we have a very unusual partnership. This partnership might be as big as Ezekiel and Carol, as big as Father G and Jadis. There are two women blowing some stuff up. Rosita and Arat. That's right. Arat, also known as A-Rat, the person we wanted to die, the person that cut Rosita. Now they are teaming up for some devastation and explosion. So they're setting off some, yes they are, they're setting off some explosions to lure walkers in a certain direction. So what they're doing is they are constantly manipulating these walkers to keep them going, keep the herd going where they want them to go. I am going to ask the group this question. This is not a spoiler, but I think this is something that is going to come back to haunt them a little bit later on. Stick with me for this. This is totally prediction time, and I want your prediction. Maybe you can kind of stamp it and say, yeah, Kills, that works, or no. It appears that they're making these noises to manipulate walkers. I think Rick's going to end up getting caught by somebody not doing their job. So, for example, if Rosita, has an explosion in one area and the walkers are there, and then they do a siren in another area, and they just keep the herd going to where they want, I feel like they're going to have all these walkers sort of grouped up, and someone is going to forget their responsibility, or an explosion's not going to go off, or they're going to be, sidetracked with something else, and that carelessness might end up leading to a Rick situation. Just want to know your thoughts on that. Too much? I mean, because they have advanced. Well, it's a good question, Zombie. I'm not ready to make that prediction yet. All right. Then we get to another scene, because they do like to jump around a little bit. This is showing that maybe Michonne and maybe Jesus and other people are slowing Maggie down just a little bit. So Maggie goes and talks to Earl. She wants to talk to him about his drinking problem. He tells her, hey, I was drunk when my son was born. Earl was drunk at the birth of his son. And this is a little bit heartbreaking to me. And the writers, I'm sure they had to throw this in there. I want to know what you think about this. So like I said, there's action, there's mystery, there's story. But then I think this is going to be a little bit of a sentimental moment. Earl says he can't remember the first time he saw Ken. His drinking was such a problem, such a disease, that it controlled him for so long. Can't remember the first time he saw his son. So he talks about his whole life as an alcoholic and what happened to him. And you know what? Someone predicted, and we know the sad passing of Scott Wilson, but we also know that he had filmed as well, and he had filmed Herschel. So you can almost wonder if Herschel's flashback is going to be a Maggie memory and not a Rick Grimes memory. I know we talked about Rick. If Rick's leaving, he sees Shane, he sees Herschel, he sees Sasha. But I'm almost wondering, because Herschel had the drinking problem, if Maggie will draw a conclusion and have more sympathy for Earl because of what Herschel went through. Let me know your thoughts on that. And then we get a little bit of dark comedy. I think very slight comedy, more dark. Maggie thanks him for the conversation. And then Earl asks her point blank, like, why did you hang Gregory and not me? And then Maggie says to Earl, was that a mistake? And he says no. So I know it's not, your typical slapstick like humor, but it is like, it's almost out of curiosity. And then Maggie's just like, not basically saying, well, I can go back and do it, but it's basically, both saying, you should be glad I didn't, and did I make the wrong choice? And we kind of leave the scene at that. All right, so now is the moment you've all been waiting for. It is the Pete D moment. It is Tara's storyline, and Tara has some stuff. All right. This major spoiler, this is probably one of the biggest events that is going to go down in this week's episode. So I need everybody's full and undivided attention. And it does start with Tara. All right. So we got Tara is up on top of her crane, and she does a few jokes via walkie-talkie. Tara's corny humor. Pete D's going to love it. And the walkers, as we said, they're kind of being manipulated, so they hit a certain point, and then Jerry's got a siren, and he lures them to another point. So Alden has a little bit of a sidebar with Rick while this is going on, right after Rick's conversation with Tara, and says that there's some people missing, and it's not good they have no weapons. And Rick's like, hey, dude, the reason they don't have weapons is because we can't trust them, and that's why we protect them. So then Tara, this is where it starts to go down at the bridge, everybody. So it's going to get fast and furious. Stick with me now. All right, everybody, here we go. Tara warns Rick that part of the horde is running towards them. So they're not walking. They are moving at a fast speed. Daryl is working over there. Aaron is also working. They're putting logs together. And the walkers get there. Right? So we got the walkers there. And then Jim jumps down on the logs. And one of the logs falls on Aaron's forearm. You know what's going to happen next, everybody. Oh, my God. This is where it all goes down. They're making Aaron into the next Rick Grimes. Yes, Aaron gets a log pinned on his forearm, but that's not it because they're fighting. Daryl's fighting against walkers. Jim comes back to try to rescue him, fighting the same group of walkers. Rick, Ezekiel, Carol, all of them fighting against walkers. Rick shoots a rope, which kind of holds some of the logs together, and the logs fall down and start taking out the walkers. So they extinguish the threat. Daryl takes Aaron to newly anointed Dr. Enid. And Enid's like, we got to cut off the arm. Daryl wants to get him some painkillers, and Aaron says no. Do it! And Enid saws off Aaron's arm. Yes, here it goes, everybody. There it is. Major event from this week. Aaron, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. I had to kind of go through that quick. That would be great. She's like, oops, I cut off the wrong arm. Now we're going to have to make it right. All right, so there's blame to this. So remember, this seed was planted in the sanctuary. Justin is the problem. You know, where Daryl said, Justin, take care of that. And he's like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? So this guy is not taking any orders. So remember the scene with the frying pan where Daryl just knocked him in the face? So that's what's going to happen. So Daryl and Justin fight again because it was Justin's fault. He was at another point and was supposed to lure the walkers away. Carol stops Daryl, and Daryl says exactly what they have to do. That asshole. I don't care if he is sorry. I'm going to hit that asshole with a pot and pan. That's Daryl. Daryl's like just taking care of business. So when we first saw the Comic-Con trailer, we thought, Daryl's a loose cannon. But Daryl is very protective of Aaron's arm. And he blames him. And he's like, you can't have this stuff. Or, Kim, you're absolutely right. It could have been intentional. He's either lazy or he's like, just not getting it. And then we go back to the hilltop again. We get more of the Maggie Michonne conversation. And Maggie says that she is doing what's best for the people at Hilltop. And Maggie says she has no regrets. So once again, and I made light of this earlier because some people were talking about old. And I said, you know, in jest, when you start to feel old, or you know you're kind of getting older, is when you say, I'm not getting old. Well, I think it's the same with Maggie with regrets. It's that justification. Like, I don't regret anything. Well, if you constantly say you don't regret anything, you probably do regret something. There's probably different stages of regret. And I think because Maggie's been questioned, she might not regret that she did it, but I think she regrets not talking to Jesus about it. Maybe some element of that, right? Because people are starting to come forward, and it does appear she's listening to Michonne, but she's getting very defensive. Valar, it is... I got a super chat. Actually, we got a couple super chats that I missed. We got Big Kev, 619. Big Kev says, I'm just here to donate. Keep keeping it real, y'all. So thank you for that. Appreciate that super chat, Big Kev. And also Valar with a super chat. And Valar says, is it possible that he lets Negan out? Valar, I'm going to answer your super chat at the very end of the spoiler. Actually, I'll answer it right now. It is impossible that he lets him out, and you'll know why in just a minute. Fair enough? Hold tight. So, Rick decides to talk to Justin after he got smacked with a frying pan. Daryl apparently didn't kill him because Carol stepped in. And he tells Justin that he needs to take his things and leave. So Rick is exiling him. And I think this is the start of the Rick Grimes that we're used to. Rick is kind of taking a back seat. He's trying to make peace, but now he's going to start realizing that if Daryl is so adamant about this, Aaron just suffered, this guy's a problem, he's got to go. Rick also goes to Enid and says she did a great job. Hey, you really stepped up. Appreciate you doing that, in a time of crisis. Rick apologizes to Aaron about what happened to his arm. And the thing with Aaron is, Aaron says that he's paid the price for his faults and that it was worth it. So Aaron's not bitter. Aaron understands that this is a part, and he's kind of lucky to still be alive, that they saved him. And then they start talking a little bit about when the dead started to rise. And Aaron quote here is, "It's not the end of the world anymore. We start a whole new one." Thoughts on Aaron? Aaron's transition? Aaron without an arm? And is this going to start to get everybody feeling a little more Rick Grimesy about Aaron? Let me see what you guys think. He's got the beard. He's got the demeanor. He's got the one arm. This is kind of like a pulse check for the group. Some people are okay with Aaron. Some people still, no way. Only one Rick. I get it. Yeah, drama. Not the leadership. Aaron can't be a leader. A log kicked Aaron's ass. If you can't even beat a log, you can't lead 4 groups of people. We're not even talking about a walker. We're talking about a log. How do you get beat up by a tree? All right. Let's talk about that interesting moment from before. It started out as a hand rub, but it's becoming so much more. Father G and Ann sitting together talking about the girl she drew a picture of and, just life in general. And there it is. They start kissing. Yeah, it goes beyond the holding hands. It's a thing now. I guess it's going to be the father-Ann relationship. Not as much shock in it now because, we already knew it was going that direction. But a little bit later on, he's a smooth operator. Yeah, no doubt. And Ann is on watch, and she sees the helicopter flying by. So, getting that helicopter in episode number 2 already. So, don't think there's a whole lot of interaction, at least I haven't heard, but we do see it. All right, so we get Ezekiel, Carol, and the others. So we saw this. We saw this Comic-Con trailer. They're sitting around the fire, right? That's where we first had the rumors like, hey, something's going down between Ezekiel and Carol when they were sitting side by side. And Ezekiel does want to propose, but she's like, Carol's proactive in this. And she says, don't do it. But she puts on the ring. So we got the love thing happening. The love boat is officially in full effect. A couple of relationships are going down. We've got the romance between Father G and Ann. We got the continued romance between Ezekiel and Carol. And we got the badass budding relationship between Rosita and Arat. Strictly plutonic, but bombastic because they are blowing stuff up. It's like we've got 2 wild and crazy people out there. It's like female versions of Abraham blowing stuff up. I'm okay. I didn't like Arat, but I could warm up to her character being a badass. I'm okay with that. I don't know. I don't know that I was a strict, like a rot hater. I think I was mad because she cut Rosita. But all things being equal, Rosita might respect that. All right, we got June Smith with Super Chat and says, kills. I often wondered, was Gregory and Jesus lovers? You could cue up like some Sophie B. Hawkins there, right? Damn, wish I was your lover. No, I don't think so. I think, I don't know where that came from. Boom, yeah. That's like, I don't know, music was just playing. No, I don't think so. I think Jesus is just a loyal sergeant. And he sees what's right and what's wrong, but he also waits for his moment to politely suggest and make change. Jesus does it in a different way. And we got a couple more little spoilers here. We do see that Rick is in fact talking to Negan about the new world. And Negan is just kind of teasing him, taunting him back and forth. And Regan. And Rick says to Negan, you should just be quiet and listen. And then we get the line from Negan where it's like, you're not saving the world, Rick. You're just getting it ready for me. And based on all of that, your spoilers, I'm going to ask you once again, those of you that rated a little bit early, we've got action, we got fighting, we got deceit, we got Walker herds coming into play, we got love stories, we got the helicopter, we've got Maggie being questioned, we've got people making peace, we got Earl's story, we got Michonne with her charter. What do you think? Let's see the rating right now. I'm giving this a 10, no higher. It cannot go any higher than this. Let's see what everybody rates it. Come on, I don't want to see any 8s with this. I don't want to see a single 8. If you're an 8 at this point, you are a hater. You are a Walking Dead hater. Come on, Ziglet. Get in the game, Ziglet. What are you doing? Storm 3851. You guys are dragging down the curve here. Logan 7.5. All right, you know what? But I'm not done. I'm not done. I got one more thing. One more little bit of mystery. Dashing One, get out of here with that 6. Come on, man. Seriously. Do you watch that segment of Monday Night Football when they say, come on, man? There ain't no way in hell this is a 6. If you give this episode a 6, you are not a Walking Dead fan. You're just not. This thing is beautiful. This is like a masterpiece. This is like a painting that sells for $1.4 million and a shredder comes out of it and shreds it. All right, let me give you the last little tidbit and see if this changes your mind. Jennifer Flaherty, before I get to the last closing segment, Kills in the Army, has Jesus' death been confirmed? It has been strongly suggested by several very reputable people. Green, it's not. I mean, let me tell you. Green and a couple of those others, because I think a couple of you guys are pushing my buttons. I really don't think you think it's a 6. But this episode has all the elements of one of the best episodes of the season. If this is not on the higher end of your radar, what would you consider an 8? What would you consider a 9? If you think this episode is a 5 or a 6 or a 7, and you solely think that it's average, then you're kind of casting the net out there and saying, well, the show's average. And I kind of, I just watch it and because nothing else is on Sunday. And I get involved in the chats here because, I like hanging out with you guys. No, that may be it. But I'm going to call you out on it. I think that you're bigger fans than you want to admit to. And I think you guys are holding back a couple points from me. But here, let's get to the closing scene. Because the closing scene could be a big, big deal. Valar asked this a little bit early. So Justin is out on his own. Remember Justin, the big guy here that got exiled? He runs into a person who hides in the woods, and then another person kills him. And you can't see who kills him. Now, hold on, because if you're a 5 or a 6, this is the last little bit of cliffhanger. It's important on a lot of different levels. Did the Whisperers just kill Justin? Did Dwight and Sherry just kill Justin? Did Daryl and Maggie just murder somebody? Wait. This guy was murdered. He was exiled, and 2 people just killed him. He was on his own. He was leaving. So now you got 3 different scenarios. Could this be the very start of the Whispers? Could this be Daryl and Maggie's dark side coming out and taking out revenge? Or could this be Dwight exacting revenge on the Saviors? I want to know your thoughts and comments right now. Let's see what the audience thinks. Come on, everybody. This is the icing on the cake. People saying Dwight, hanging out in the woods, beginning of the Whispers. So see, what I like about this is there's so many different viewpoints of what we think this could be. Denise Hopkins said, did Negan slip out of his cell and kill someone? And Denise, I don't think so. I don't know that Negan would have motive at this point. I don't think it's... I would stick to the 3 only because of this. Dwight has motive to kill Saviors. The Whispers have motive to kill anyone, especially if this guy trespassed. And Daryl, with someone else, maybe Daryl and Maggie, starting to take out these Saviors that are problems. Now, I think less Daryl, to be honest with you, because once he's exiled, I don't know that Daryl needs to go hunt him down and kill him. I got to feel like it's the Whispers. I think Justin is going to be one of the heads that they see on the spikes a little bit later on, and here's why. Justin has a very distinct look. When you see his head on a spike, you're going to know exactly who he was. Right? He's got this beard, he's got the ponytail. We're probably not mistaking him, maybe Jesus, but for the most part, I think you're going to see him as a mile marker. I think he's going to be a visual. That this, I think, is going to be the first hint, the first interaction with the Whispers that we're going to see later on. And the reason I think that is because he was exiled and he was walking in a certain direction. And he just happened to go to the wrong place at the wrong time. And that, everybody, is 54 minutes worth of spoilers. That's a lot of spoilers. And if you're tuning in late, warning, this is spoilers. I'm going to ask everybody, we're going to get just a few questions. I know a couple people want to chime in on some things. I'm going to ask everybody here. It's been several hundred people in and out of chat. Everybody do me a favor. If you enjoy what we've done so far, if you're enjoying Season 9, give this video a big thumbs up. Let's like it. I'm going to recap just a couple things that I think are interesting bullet points in case we went through it too fast or maybe went through it too slow. But while we're getting those likes up to 150 to 200 really quickly, let's do it. And also, look, if you don't like what we're doing, do me a favor. If you're watching the playback or you're here live, give this video a thumbs down. If you don't like it, then just dislike it and just let us know. Be honest with us. But don't be neutral. Don't hang out with us and let us think you're having a good time. And then you go tell your best friend, like, hey, that guy really sucks. I don't like, listening to his live streams. One way or the other, make a decision, everybody. All right. Couple bullet points once again. We know Negan and Rick are going to have their sidebars. They're going to have their conversations. We also know that some big things go down in this, that Justin is a bully. And Henry is going to put the whooping stick on him. Daryl, and I will tell you, the humor in this is, think about these elements. Has anyone ever had an episode worse than Justin? Let's think about this for a second, okay? Justin gets his ass beat by Henry, by a kid. Then by Daryl. Then he gets smashed in the face again by Daryl with a frying pan. And then he gets killed. I don't know if we've seen someone get as much abuse in one episode as Justin. Excellent job, my man. I mean, he hit the trifecta. He checked every box. Tough show for him. So we know that's going to be a storyline. The Maggie Hilltop is still a developing story. Maggie leading with force, backing off a little bit, giving a little leeway, justifying her actions, leading with force again. And as we talked about, Maggie is torn. Maggie, it doesn't seem like Maggie's in control. That this rage is in control of her. She does have moments where she's sympathetic, but she might just be sympathetic to Earl because she sees the similarity between Earl and her father. We also know in this episode that there's some good foreshadowing when we see Sadiq as the doctor training other people, and Enid gets her first crisis situation, and that is cutting off the arm of Aaron. So we lose Aaron's arm. I think that's a big deal. I know it's a big deal because there is no way in hell Rick is losing his arm. So thank you to the writers of The Walking Dead. So hopefully I never have to answer that question again. Will Rick lose his arm? Nope. Aaron's already done it. Not going to do it again. We also have another relationship. We've got Anne and Father G. And we also see that Carol is much, much more serious about Ezekiel. She doesn't want the formality of the relationship, but she's going to wear the ring. I feel like that ring is going to be symbolic later on. Things are going too well for Carol right now. She's going to regret not marrying Ezekiel if she doesn't marry him. That ring and that symbol, it's going to come back. If Ezekiel dies, Carol's going to have even more regret. So I'm very curious to see how that plays out. There's going to be a lot of deaths this season. Jimmy, the forearm. So not the hand. I think his hand and a little bit of his forearm. I don't think it's at the elbow. I think it's just part of his arm. I mean, the only thing that I'm curious to see, and once again, let me say, we said this at the beginning. These aren't spoilers that we just pulled out. I mean, these are from very respected people that are out there. And let me just kind of go through this once again because I want to make sure I got everything down that we just read through and kind of quoted. All right, just checking out one thing here. Be patient with me. I mean, not seeing it, not that anybody's really had experience with this, but is chopping the arm off a little bit extreme for a log crushing your arm? I mean, I know when you get bit, you got to chop it off. But that's the only thing that I'm questioning about all the spoilers, because all the spoilers look completely legit. But I'm just kind of stopping and saying, you know, I mean, it's a heavy log. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, sometimes you break something, you can kind of reset it. You know what I mean? Okay. I mean, that's the only part I kind of gave pause to because I was... Duct tape it up. That's right, Lisa. Enid's a crummy doctor. She's like, cut it off. Cut it off. I mean, I guess... But look, I'm not big into gore. But I'm curious now. I'm curious, like, what that log did to his arm. Okay. I mean, if you guys are on board with it, I'm on board with it. Many people have seen these spoilers. It just seemed like the arm crush, it's broken bone, you could set it. But I guess if it's, like, completely smashed, that's usually not the first thing that goes through my mind, like, chop off the arm. All right, I'm cool with it. I'm assuming that everything in these spoilers, they seem, from what we've seen in the trailers and what we've seen in the teasers, they all look legit. The Aaron thing is just really the only thing that kind of made me take a step back and say, okay, did he get, was he pinned? Because I almost felt like, okay, maybe he's pinned and he can't move and a walker came up and bit his arm or bit his hand. But, yeah, I guess it's just smashed. And that's the way it goes down. Fair enough, everybody. And we have hit an hour and 3 minutes. So this is what we're going to do because, as we said before, normally on Mondays we do the recap. Tuesdays we have a Walking Dead topic. Wednesday we get into predictions. And Thursdays we do the spoilers. These spoilers were just out there so fast. We had to do it tonight. We will definitely talk about The Walking Dead tomorrow. We're going to drill this down a little bit further. We'll have other Walking Dead topics to talk about. But now that the spoilers are there, we're going to have to be a little bit careful with people in the streams tomorrow. And we will be discussing this episode. So I think it's not going to be one of those that there's going to be any surprise. But I do want to really analyze the Whisperer's role and whether this is the beginning of the storyline for the Whisperers. I want to thank everybody for being here. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thanks for participating in the spoilers. And one last time, I got to get one more rating because I'm just curious like that. Did the mystery at the end and the recap, did that get anybody a little bit higher? I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up until you guys are on board. I'm staying at a solid 10. One last rating of everybody. The mystery at the very last part, even though it's only some guy named Justin, we're raising. There you go, Ziglet. That's what I'm talking about. Get it in the 9s. All right. Looks to be a great episode. We're going to hype this thing up. And what's the worst thing to happen is we'll be slightly disappointed. But I think there's less chance you'll be disappointed because many of you have already seen some of these scenes take place in the Comic-Con trailer. And we just knew it was just a matter of time. Crystal, the rumor we heard with Tom Payne was at the end of the season, and I heard 12 or 13 is what I heard. Thanks for that super chat. 12 or 13 is what I heard with Jesus and a showdown with Beta. And we're going to leave it right there. I want to thank everybody for being here. Once again, if you have not slapped that like button or the dislike button, pick one. Got to choose a path, left or right. Let me say thank you to all the people that are here, all the Patreons, top left corner. You guys are absolutely amazing. Appreciate your support, your contribution to the channel. Also, we got our super chatters in the house. We get another super chat. Let me make sure. Yep. Okay. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody here at the end. We got Pete D super chatting. Valar. You know what? I missed Jeremiah Lawson earlier. Jeremiah, sorry about that, but Jeremiah just said, hey, want to give a shout out to the group. We got Kev, Big Kev, and that's San Diego area code. So thank you, Big Kev. Appreciate you being here. June Smith, Jennifer Flaherty, and also Crystal, the singer chick. And Valar with a couple super chats tonight. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. Appreciate you being involved in the channel. Of course, our sponsors as well. The moderators. Shout out to the moderators. Incredible group. We got Emmy, Steph, Tommy, and Kels. And we're going to wind it down right now. You guys can all give me a quick 999 so I can do some shout outs. And was there a request a little bit early as we do the shout outs? You're watching the playback. This is the closing credits. You can go ahead and check out because we're just shouting people out. But there's a lot of hope out there. I know people want Rick to live. And somebody requested some Journey. So those of you that want Rick to live, don't stop believing. Don't stop. It's still a possibility, especially if Maggie sees flashbacks of Herschel and that's not Rick. So, maybe it's not all Rick's death. Maybe it is open-ended after all. So we got James Kelly. We got Coma Drug, The Catnap, Lisa Smith, Dominique, DDA Ohio, Shane Yahtzee, Chris Riddle, Green 74, Sherry Bentley, Nick Woods, Folger Display of Power, Valar, Lakeisha Faison, Crystal the Singer Chick, Old Soul, Anna Demo, Fluff Salisbury, June Smith. Maybe I'm shouting out people multiple times. Mary, Nick Woods. Yep, we're doing some multiple shout-outs. It's all good. Gina Crockett, thank you. It doesn't give me a check-off list when I shout somebody out. I'm just going off memory. That's why I miss about 100 people every night. Trevor Koenig, Rob King, thank you so much. Shane Hassan, Drama King, New York City. Storm 3851, Ron Burgundy Moore, Laura Butler, Newfield 12, Samantha Coombs. You're not gone till you're gone, Emmy Bacon. Brian Rooker. And half of you guys that ask me to just sing random silly requests, I get so much YouTube hate whenever I do that. You probably won't be surprised because it's YouTube. But the amount of comments where people come and say, Kills, I love your commentary, but stop singing in your live streams. It hurts my soul when you guys do that. But I feel obligated. You guys make the request, I got to do it. Uncle Creepy, thank you for being here. Marsha Cooper as well. Dark Start Killer. Andrea T, thank you. Appreciate you being here. We on the same side, Rick. Well, you tell me. I love that. It's just, I could just like walk around and have that conversation with myself like all night. Yeah, I'm too much of a Walking Dead fan. Oh, you know what? I don't usually call out haters, but so this guy who has attended some of our streams, I guess I can do this because well, I have the microphone. And I'm not picking on you, but the fact that you posted this on a video, his name is Justin Fortin. And Justin left about 4 or 5 comments. He attends our stream from time to time. But when you guys suggested the Talking Dead couch the other night, he said, you will never make it on the couch because you have a overinflated or something. Clearly, Justin, you don't know me. A lot of things that we talk about are strictly in conversation and fun and banter and back and forth. It was never my desire to be on the Talking Dead couch. We go along with it. We talk about it. We have fun with it. So, you know, for someone to jump in and make that a personal attack and just take that super serious, it was comments in response to several people that were in the stream. And if you actually watched the stream and paid attention to what people were saying, you would have known that it was just some back and forth. And I'm not politicking or campaigning to be on the show. So just, you know, sorry to do it, but sometimes you can't ignore that stuff. You can ignore a certain amount, but sometimes you also have to tell people that, you know, if you don't have anything good to say, just shut up. Don't say it. All right. Exactly. All right, everybody. He's gone. But I just wanted him to hear it because I didn't get a chance to say that the other night, and I figured I'd say it at the end of the video. Thank you, Valar. Valar, oh my God, who said that kills? I will Lucille their ass. Love your voice. Thank you. You guys are awesome. I love being here every single night. And Jason did not see Venom. I'm going to see it this Saturday. And then it's going to be Bad Times at the El Royale movie. Those were the 3 on my list. Star is Born, Bad Times, and Venom. And I'm going to see Venom next week. You know, Lakeisha, that would have been the same question I would have asked. I guess some people listen because they want to find 1 or 2 negative points. It's ironic how some people listen because they enjoy. Some people listen because they want to participate. And some people listen because they want to find the one thing they disagree with or the one negative or the one mistake, and they want to highlight that mistake. And let me tell you guys, I make a lot of mistakes in these streams. It happens. We're doing this stuff live. We're not editing anything out. I mean, you call Rick Nick, or it just happens. But it's not going to stop the passion and the desire for us to come out and just do this stuff every single night. We have a good time with it. Can't please everybody. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. My one last request, if I actually 2 last requests. Yeah, I'm needy. And I'm making a lot of requests from you guys tonight. One, if I didn't give you a shout out, just be patient. It's not personal. Tomorrow night's video, just let me know, and I'll give you a shout out tomorrow. We'll get you sooner or later. It's just who's scrolling up the screen. I try to just jump around as much as we can. And also the second request, and this will be my last request of the night. Those of you watching the playback and those of you in the stream, just jump over there every once in a while and read some of the comments, because you'll find comments like the one I just mentioned. And that, I read through the comments every single day, but also you'll find a whole lot of positive comments and a whole lot of people that agree with you and read stuff, that you guys are saying. So, just pay them a little bit of respect and watch at least a portion of it or read some of the comments and reply to them so they feel like it's real for them. Thanks, everybody. I will see you all tomorrow night, and we will have a brand new Walking Dead topic. Peace.